Hello there, Qckslvrslash, and today I have a video courtesy of Surveya, though both myself and another buddy, AetherTech, are in this one, and the reason was I streamed today for the first time in forever, had a couple friends in a div with me, and we wound up in Tier 4. As you can see me just ahead of Surveya there, Aether off to the right, and we kind of figured we'd go in here, have a fun game, and, you know, never really take it too seriously, and things would just go well. We'd had a couple rough games here and there, some really good ones, and then some really bad ones. It's the weekend, it's what happens. So, hop down to Tier 4 to just go have a fun game, relax a bit, and then get back to more serious battles. And well, we were a little wrong about being able to relax in this one, and you'll see why as the battle goes, but for the time being, you can see, looking at the teams, I mean, we're top. We're Tier 4s in a Tier 4 and 3 game. We've got every advantage. The exception of the carriers, you know, nothing at this tier really has that good of AA. So, off the start, we decide we're going to head over to the kind of 2, 3, 4 area of the map, figuring some of their ships would just push south and we'd be able to contest them and stop them from getting to our cap, while the rest of our team kind of pushed up that other side. And off the bat, it's, you know, it's not going too bad. We can see most of their team, unfortunately, they all look to be abandoning that flank. And that's not looking so great for Aether and I. So you can see Aether there deciding, you know what, he's going to go up the mid. I tell him, I'm just going to keep going this way, in case there is a straggler out here. Meanwhile, Surveya kind of just falling in behind, shooting at all these ships are more or less broadside to him. And, well, Ishizuchi, like any low-tier battleship, can be a little trolly at times. It's HE or AP, just for one reason or another, don't seem to work right when they hit, or you just don't hit things. But Surveya's not really dealing with that too much right now. He's 5,000 damage in, just got a fire on that Freon, though the Freon repairs it right away, so you can guess who he wants to hit again. He's getting a little helpful push from a ship who later on in this one is going to prove to be rather critical to how this match plays out. Now sadly, Surveya doesn't get another shot on the Freon. It eats a bunch of torpedoes, but in the meantime, you can see me there charging up ahead. I spot the Langley. And with CVs posing as big a threat as they do to Surveya and myself, and just the ability for me to go stealth and move, I decide, hey, I've got the Langley dead rights, I'm going to go get him. And it's funny that their whole team went pretty much straight east, but for some reason the Langley is sailing south. So it is what it is. I'll take advantage of it. Never above killing a helpless ship. I mean, there's nothing a Langley can do really about a Clemson. You can try to drop bombs on me, but it's going to have a hard time because at these low tiers you don't have that manual drop. Meanwhile, if you look, Aether is just starting to kind of lose some hit points. He charged in, he got aggressive and got spotted. So he's having to try to bug out. Surveya's kind of just sailing up, working the South Carolina, and I'm way out on the flank, working down the Langley, and our Duguay is as well. That's definitely a welcome fire on the South Carolina. Eats some torps right afterwards, so, you know, if it's got that damage control, it's gonna happen there. And well, Surveya decides to switch targets, and I think it's because he sees those bombers going in, just decides, you know what, our carrier, it's going to get that kill. We've got a sight on Phoenix here. Great hit there. 4,000 damage, another fire. And the Phoenix grounded himself, so the funny part here being, Aether would have survived had the Phoenix not run aground. In running aground, it kept Aether spotted, and well, we lost a ship. Fortunately, Surveya doesn't have the best shot, so it's back to the South Carolina. Meanwhile, over on the other flank, I've finished off the first carrier and pretty much finish him and see the second one. So, onwards and upwards, I continue going for the Langley. And it's about here that we're kind of looking at what's going on, with the teams, and we're going, alright, we've got to do some work. The only things that have died is one of their cruisers and the carrier. Now, I am going to get the second carrier. Savea is going to finish off this South Carolina here, so that helps close the gap a bit. But being down the ships that were already down definitely doesn't help. So for Savea, he's kind of got to just charge towards cap. There's not a lot of options for where he can go. He has to try to turn some of that enemy team around. Give our Langleys a chance, because if you look at what's left on our team, 2 carriers, 3 battleships, 1 cruiser, 1 destroyer. And we would have been better without this cruiser, in all honesty. And once again, you'll see why when it happens. I'm not salty at all. So the South Carolina is down in our cap, doing its best to defend, but the one that is upsetting is our Langley. You know, it can see the teams, it knows where people are, and it's just insisting on sitting there. It should be moving. The other Langley is moving. It's going across the map. It sees it's run out of space. But the team killer, he just doesn't have the wherewithal to get himself moving. And that's ultimately going to cost him. Meantime, well, Savea's getting closer and closer to this cap, and Ishizuchi shows up. You can see Savea asking for help. Really, the Duguay should switch targets. I know he's trying to get kills on this carrier, but the reality is I would have had the carrier. Luckily, Savea has no problem finishing that destroyer off. Now he starts to kite away here. Meanwhile, I'm charging in as fast as I can. We've really got to get in this cap if we're going to have a chance. Savea's got AP loading, side on Phoenix here. Time to try to do some big damage. Shell's looking a tiny bit underlaid, but still good, and well, 2,000 damage. It's not the number you'd like to see, but it's still something, and there's what you want. 8,000 damage and a Citadel, and the Phoenix is pretty much finished off. The Duguay there, working him down, leaves him on 88, so that's going to be him. And Savea's saying, mine, mine, mine. Gets the shot in the air, just uses 1 turret, finishes him off with an 87 damage Citadel, and picks up his 3rd kill, 50,000 damage in. A very happy game for Savea so far. But despite Savea killing as many ships as he has, the enemy's still pushing in on us. The Langley in the south, it's spotted. That Ishizuchi going down the flank, can see him bright as day, so he's beginning to get worked down. Now it is here though that this Corbeil hits screwed. Turns back in to kind of contest the cap, and in doing so gives Savea a broadside and just starts getting worked down. These planes going to be all it takes to finish him off. Savea not bothering with those rear guns that are loaded, instead choosing to watch, just make sure that he does go down before switching targets to the Bellerophon. Meanwhile, I've managed to get into cap, and our Duguay has as well. So if we can push this guy out, we start taking the cap. And right now, we're actually ahead. Well, for a moment there we were. We lose our South Carolina, things are even again, but we're about to lose that Langley, so in reality, they're not quite what they are. And this is kind of where tragedy strikes. You can see me, you can see the Duguay, and I'm just getting into position. I'm going to pop my smoke, throw torpedoes, shoot my guns, do everything I can to push this guy back. And Savea is moving in behind me. Meanwhile, the Duguay, well, it's kind of charging in. And I figure he's going to see these, and it looks like he does. You can see right there, turns himself out to miss the torpedoes, but has second thoughts. No, I'm going to turn in. And we were just dying in stream. We were doing so well. And, well, I became a team killer there. And things just aren't as good from here on out. Bell is on fire, getting worked down. Savea's doing great, some really good hit points. I'm in my smoke, just continuously peppering. And we've got to work this guy down, because the issue is If it sails into cap, it starts delaying us, and there is nothing to defend our cap. You can see the Nassau in the south, a Wix, an Ishizuchi, even a Qckslvrslash. They can all go contest our cap. And the second they do, basically I can no longer afford to get hit. I've got all our cap points right now. Savea doing a good job to just push the enemies back, to give me space, to make sure I don't get detected. And with this Qckslvrslash, he decides that's who I've got to finish. Doesn't really have a good shot on the Bellerophon. And then shells start coming in from the side and he's all, oh shit, where do I go? And of course, with the Bell charging back forward, I tell him, I'm throwing torps in the water. Like, we've got to hit him, we've got to get rid of him. And it does take some of his avenue of departure away. And it would have been a pity had I torped a second friendly ship, especially Savea here, because he is doing work. And the big risk I saw for Savea was the potential of the ram. This guy comes around the corner, gets a ram in, could have gone very poorly. The ultimate irony, my torpedo's not doing anything. So Savea works to finish this Bell off, and see me in behind. I tell him I'm dealing with the Wix. Do not fret, I've got that ship. And go in a little down on health, but I get the first shots off, and the Wix isn't shooting me. And it's here that we're kind of like, oh crap, if I eat damage, we lose. The enemy is in our base, they're capping. I dodge all the torpedoes, I finish the Wix, but I do get hit, resetting our chance at cap, and, well, the Carl, it gets close enough that any moment now it's going to have a Hydra on me and switch targets. In the meantime, Savea's up to his 4th kill, lays in another, oh, thought he hit the Carl there, appears he did not, got some torpedoes in the water, and well, when he reloads, he should nail this Carl. Broadside on, cruiser, this is what you dream of. There's the kill, but just not in time. The shells from the Carl hitting me as Savea picks up the Kraken. And now it's 2-on-2, but the enemy team has a bunch of our cap taken. The Langley's getting pressured. The plus side to that is, well, the Ishizuchi is spotted, at least for now. And our carrier should be able to get a good torp drop in on this Nassau. So, while it's not ideal, we're definitely not out of it. Losing me hurt because I'm a bit of our spotting, our speed. Luckily, having the carrier still though, that means a little less, but we lose the carrier, so now it's just Savea. In a Ishizuchi, and really far from a cap that has a destroyer in it. Now, resetting this Nassau, that's not going to be too hard a problem. You can just fire the shells every once in a while, but getting this Izzy is gonna be hard. And Savea, he doesn't really have options here. Luckily the carrier put his torpedo planes and bombers, gave them commands before he died, so they're at least moving somewhere. They're going to give some vision, and it's giving Savea a chance at least to continuously reset this Nassau as he closes, and that's what's got to happen. He has to get a heck of a lot closer, hope the destroyer somehow becomes spotted, finish him off, and then get into a duel with the Nassau. Now that's very steep, and at this point Aether had already left the battle, just not wanting to see how it ended, figuring it was over. And we're like, oh boy, he has a chance. And momentarily, you can see the Izia getting spotted, and it at least gives Savea an inkling of where that destroyer is. You know, time passes, he could be further and further from that spot, but it's an idea. But with nothing else to shoot at, Savea just keeps hitting this Nassau. Bit by bit, working it down, bringing it closer to the bottom of the ocean. And it's any moment here that you see the Izzy make a mistake. It leaves its cap and starts firing. It means it's spotted, and it's really here that Savea gets his chance. They've almost capped. He lands shells, resets it, and buys himself a huge chunk of time here. And, well, the Izia just keeps on shooting with those bombers in the air. Perhaps he was just spotted, so he decided, you know what, I'm going to shoot. I'm at least going to get damage in. But it definitely hurts his chances. You can see him trying to get away. 1,134 hit points. Savea needs to land this volley before he gets behind it. And, well, cool guys, don't look at explosions. Sinks the Izia, already aiming at the Nassau, ready for the final fight. It's up to 6 kills and a Confederate. Almost 90,000 damage, and this is where it comes down to it. They're on pretty much equal health, but Savea is going to angle a lot better. Picks up his high caliber and just continuously works this Nassau down. And we had a chuckle here because you can see Savea, he's angled. He's not perfectly broadside, but he's not taking his rear guns out of the fight. And the Nassau just kind of keeps sliding shells down the side of his ship. He's not making the, the perfect aim shot, not making the smart play, and the Nassau is just giving broadside, and that's giving the advantage more and more to Savea. And see, like 1,400 damage, that's not very big. Whereas Savea here, in a couple seconds, is going to have another shot and another chance to do a ton of damage to a ship that's just sailing broad. Now, you might think things would be tense here, but with 3.5 minutes left, you're not worried about the points. This literally comes down to a duel, and so far, Savea has done nothing but basically just walk all over this guy. He hasn't really managed to do any significant damage in return, and it's just that angling. He's giving himself up flat, Savea's keeping himself angled. That's enough to make a big difference in the outcome. And really one more volley should seal the fate. His guns are almost loaded. You can see that Nassau trying as hard as it can, but as Savea loads, he ends the game. 7 kills. What a match. And you didn't think it was possible. It felt like it was over when we lost that cap, when I team torped our Duge. Watching him turn out and then willfully turn in was one of the most frustrating things I've seen in a while. But Savea was the hero we needed. 116,000 damage, good for good for over 300,000 credits, 5,200 experience, Kraken, high caliber Confederate, and just carried the game, did everything we needed to win there. And for that, he finished top of the team. And you can see I'm right behind him. I actually managed to just about crack 100k in my Clemson, just railing into those carriers and then working down the bell. It all adds up. And I do feel at the end there, when it was like, do or die, Ricky Martin should have been playing in the background. I can be your hero, just as he charges forward into the unknown. But he did do it, and it was just a blast to watch. I don't know why their Qckslvrslash started shooting. He just needed to go dark, run away, and they had it. But he decided to engage, and he lost his life. And surprisingly, the AP did a lot of good work in this match. End of the day, though, took home just about 250,000 credits, that 5,200 XP, and a Kraken, 7 kills. He did so much work in this one to save a game from utter defeat. So thank you for that, for Savea. Thanks for everyone who showed up to the stream. I know it was announced very last minute, but I'm going to just try to do it when I play, to grind ships, just start streaming every time I'm playing. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing. As always, I'm Qckslvrslash. I'll have another one for you all later.